What's up, guys? In today's video we are going to be redoing the design of the motor mounts for the Triumph. Okay, redoing it from the design you guys saw in the last video. So we had these little tabs I made up on the bottom. We're going to weld them on, and I kind of followed some of your comments, and it kind of went right along with some of the doubts I had in these. Anyway, so we're decided we're going to scrap these, which means I actually won't even need that bottom hole, so we may or may not shave that off. This is going to be all painted black anyway, so a lot of this is going to kind of disappear, but here's the design we're going to go with. So I got this grade 8 all thread. What all thread is, if you're not familiar, it's basically like a bolt. It's a rod that's threaded all the way down, so there's no end on it. Then I got the 5/8 nuts to go on each side. So we're going to keep these mounts because there's no reason for me to remake these. I mean, the hole's already in the right spot. Foot peg mount is perfect where it is. So all we're missing is a hole in the right spot right here. So we won't actually need this hole, but it's basically going to mount up using the factory swing arm mount, kind of just like the factory old motor mounts did. So basically straight out of there, drill a hole through here, drill another hole through one on the other side. The rod will go all the way through, and then we have these, which this is just a pretty thick wall tubing that will basically fit in there just like that. And then it'll be welded right where my thumb is to this plate itself. And what this is going to do is kind of two functions. It's going to act as a spacer and basically keep these two plates from sandwiching in when I tighten down the nuts on each side of the rod. You know, we obviously don't want it to squeeze in and bend anything, so this will keep everything nice and straight. And also it'll cover up that rod, and this will be painted black just like these, you know, as kind of one unit, so it'll look nice and clean and just look like a, you know, nice black metal rod going across, or metal tube going across, you know, similar to this whole frame that's going to be painted black as well. So I think it'll kind of disappear pretty nicely and then give us a nice solid mount all the way through for the back of the engine. And then 5/8 is basically exactly the width of this hole, so we're not going to have much play in there, which we don't want anyway. We want it to be a nice kind of rigid fit in there, and that'll kind of address the issues that some people brought up in the comments about the torsional rigidity of the back of the motor. So we'll have those. You know, there is still a connection to the spine of the bike right here on the top, and then of course the two on the bottom. So that is going to be basically the same amount of mounts and a very similar mounting system than what the bike had stock. So it should be good to go. So we're going to measure out and make sure we get the holes in the right spot. Go ahead and drill them, and then we can measure up. I happen to have this pipe already, or this tube that's somehow the perfect length, so we just need to make one for the other side. Then we can TIG weld them up and give it all a nice test fit. So yeah, like I said, first step is going to be locating where the hole is going to be, and then punching a couple 5/8 holes through these plates. How I'm locating where the holes are is I just pull one side of the mount off. And I actually found, and I don't know why in the world I didn't think about this, this is the factory rod that goes through here for the swing arm. So I'm probably just going to use this because it's obviously machined to fit perfectly in that hole, and then it's also the perfect length already. So I really didn't need to buy that, but oh well, now we have a threaded rod for something else. So what I'm doing is just sliding it in from one side, butting it up against the mount itself, and then marking around it with a Sharpie so that I can then find the center of that, drill a 5/8 hole through it, and then this will fit all the way through, and then we can work on our actual spacers. So yep, I got the holes kind of outlined on both sides, so now I just need to drill them out. Got the two holes drilled, you can kind of see. So that's that factory bolt that I was talking about. Goes right through, popped out right on this side. Still got a good amount of metal around the back, and on this side This part still has the bolt on it, or nut I should say, but that'll go right through there, so that should work well. So I think the only thing I'm going to need to do now is make those little spacers I was talking about. So I already got this one, and like I said, I am going to weld it to here. I probably don't have to weld it, you know what I mean? I could probably just put it in there and it would just act as a spacer, but I don't know, part of me wants to weld it just so it's all one piece. So I'll probably cut them out, put them in there, double check the size, and then make that kind of final decision of whether I'm going to weld them or not. The only reason I'm thinking about not welding them just yet is because, you know, just as a final, when I still have a bunch of finish welding to do, and if I need to adjust the size of these to kind of shift the motor over, I've been doing a lot of measuring using the factory spacers that were in the bike before, but obviously the whole back half of the bike is not original. So just before I do any like super permanent stuff, so I'm probably just going to cut them, put them in here, make sure they're going to fit right, and then call the motor mounts done until we finish weld them. So I'm going to go ahead and measure out the other side and cut it out. Well, here's a final look at what it's going to look like. So you see I got the two spacers. Again, these are just loose right now. Got the one on that side till I kind of, you know, like I said a second ago, finalize the fitment of everything, but that's how they're going to fit in there. Weld them up nice on this side. I even have little washers I could put on that side to kind of increase the surface area, but that's solid metal. It's not like resting up against rubber or anything in here, so it should be really solid. And this should be really nice, especially compared to these dinky things I was toying around with before. So I'm glad that it didn't work out and we had to go a different route. I think you guys will be a little bit happier with how these look and the overall function. And again, when they're black, and this is black, and we have the foot pegs on here and everything, they'll disappear pretty well. So we can take these tabs off. I don't know, that was for something else. So I will grind those off and have this be just a nice smooth tube. We can probably remove this mount, but again, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. If I want to get like an oil tank, honestly, I'm searching thrift stores and wherever I can to try and find like a really cool old like toolbox or something like that, like some kind of cool old box that I could permanently mount here, and it could kind of look like it has tools in it but could house the electronics, or a cool tank like I talked about last time that looks like an oil tank. I'm pretty open. Again, I'm kind of looking for a little kind of unique pieces to incorporate in the bike that kind of disappear, but when you really like stop and look at the details, you can see them. Here's a little side project I'm working on that I am not super confident in, but I would love for it to work out. I got this brass bowl from the thrift store. It's solid brass. It's like pretty high quality, pretty relatively heavy. It had these little like decorative kind of legs on it and little handles, and I heated those up and melted the solder off, so now it's just a nice smooth bowl with this great brass patina on it. I'm thinking about making that into my headlight. So I think that would be pretty badass because it really like matches this bronze on the tank really well, and you know, I think it could look pretty cool. Again, it might look like garbage, who knows, but you never know until you try. And this was like $4, so it's worth a shot. So this is 6.5 inches wide. So what I'm trying to do now, it actually already has this nice lip on the inside too. I'm trying to find a headlight that'll fit in here, and then I got to figure out some kind of, you know, way to actually secure it and have it not look stupid. And then obviously we'll have to drill holes for wires and stuff, but that'll be down the road. So it's just kind of a little side project. Again, I didn't like want to do a video on this because I have no idea if it's going to work out or not, and there's a decent percentage of you know, chance that this just ends up in the garbage. So I'll keep you guys informed on what I figure out and what I can kind of custom make to hopefully make that work. So now that we got the motor mounts done, next step really is figuring out the electronics. I shouldn't really have much fab work other than that, unless I'm forgetting something. I'll probably work on the exhaust too. I have exhaust now that goes down and like straight under the middle of the bike, and then I have this big like scrambler style, which obviously isn't going to work because it would literally run straight into my leg. So I could run the underneath, but I really like the ones that come out and then kind of hug along the frame rail. And I don't like the idea of buying it, so I might try to cut up, these are the ones that run underneath, these are the scrambler style ones. I might try and just take like that, cut it and twist the tubes and see if I can make it work. Worst case scenario, I ruin it and then we end up having to buy one, but I feel like that's a better route to go than just buying it right off the bat. I'd like to try to make it. Hell, I might even buy a bunch of stainless or something and like try the pie cuts and try to make my own exhaust. That little muffler I put on the CB550 is the kind of most experience I have with welding up exhaust. So I think it could be cool. And if it like looks ugly when it's done, but the pipe's the right shape, then we just wrap it and header wrap and no one knows the difference. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. It was probably relatively short depending on how long I rambled, which is currently at 4 minutes on this clip alone. So I'm going to finish it up. So that's going to be painted. These motor mounts, let me know what you guys think. I think they are significantly better than the ones we had before. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I think that's going to work really well. Check out Instagram to kind of stay up to date on things that are going on in between videos. Check out ClassicOctane.com for things and stuff. And make sure to like and subscribe, all that bull jazz. And we'll see you guys soon.